Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk briefly about our current sitting president, the one that's been pretty useless the entire time he's been in the White House, and talk about what he's done when he flip-flopped on what he said. He basically said when his son got in trouble that he would not pardon his son, that he would actually serve times for the felonies that he committed. And as we saw yesterday, Hunter Biden gun case was dismissed after President Joe Biden's sweeping pardon. And I got this from an article by Lindsay Winhurst. And we'll go through this real quick. The Washington Press AP picked this up. A federal judge dismissed a gun case against Hunter Biden on Thursday after President Joe Biden issued a sweeping pardon for his son. The U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Norienka closed the case a week before Hunter Biden was to be sentenced. He could have faced up to 25 years in prison for that crime that he was found guilty of. Prosecutors opposed dismissing the case, arguing the court documents that such a pardon shouldn't wipe away the case as if it never occurred. Hunter Biden was convicted on 3 felonies after he lied on a federal form to purchase a gun in Delaware by saying he wasn't a drug user in 2018. A period where he acknowledged that he was addicted to drugs. The Justice Department Special Counsel also is opposed to dismissing the case filed in California, a completely different state. Delaware and California both had felony charges that he was convicted of after he failed to pay $1.4 million in taxes. Federal judge in Los Angeles hasn't yet ruled in that case, but he was pretty much found guilty in the subcommittees, and the judge was supposed to finish that off and issue sentencing for that. So the president's Sunday decision goes back on previous pledges to issue his son a blanket federal pardon for actions over the last 11 years, has sparked political uproar in Washington, drawing criticism for many Democrats as well as Republicans and threatening to cloud Biden's legacy. What legacy is there to cloud? The guy's a failure. He's a worthless piece of trash. And as he prepares to leave office on January 20th, Hunter Biden was originally supposed to strike a plea deal with prosecutors last year that would have spared him the prison time, but the agreement fell apart after Norienka questioned the unusual aspects of it, rather. So here's what I'd say to you. If you vote Democratically, or for Democrats, rather, this is what you've been voting for. Joe Biden is an evil piece of garbage. He's done nothing as president. He was not elected president. There was 20 million votes. If you look at how this last election went and the 3 elections prior to Joe Biden winning in 2020, you will see that 20 million votes were falsified to let this piece of trash into the White House. Then his trash son did exactly what trash does and was posting videos online of him snorting cocaine off of prostitutes in the White House. This was made public. He also gained access to documents that were supposed to be of a secure nature, and doing what druggies do, allowed that information to fall in the hands of others. And thanks to his old pops, who's done nothing for this country at all, he will now be pardoned from all of that. So to Joe Biden, this is a guy that once said to the folks that vote for people like this is a guy that once said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Okay, there was no public uproar about that comment because Joe Biden was apparently the party of the people, and he was Barack Obama's vice president. But when you look at the actions that this guy has done and what he said, he told citizens one time, what are your ARs and your AKs going to do against our atom bombs and our F-35s? As if he represented the country as opposed to the people of the country. Joe Biden is going to pay for this in the long run. I can't help but hope he does see that. You don't want to wish anybody judgment, but this is a family of trash that we just put in the White House for the last 4 years that did do it illegally, and hopefully one of the things that the Trump group will do is find out how that happened and put those people in prison for doing such. And frankly, think of the number of lives that Joe Biden cost our country and our allies. Okay, think about the withdrawal from Afghanistan and how he bumbled that and got thousands of people killed. Those people that helped our soldiers and helped us stay safe when we were in country over there were then slaughtered by the Taliban as we pulled out in the way Biden did. Think about Biden's militarization of the 3-letter groups that are supposed to serve this country and go after criminals that have been going after citizens. the gentleman that got shot in the head at 5:30 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning in his house because they thought he had a gun violation is a prime example. They gunned him down in front of his wife for no reason. For no reason. This was the gentleman that was never convicted of any crime. This was an innocent American citizen. Yet this piece of trash that is his son is now being released from prison. And I'll tell you, if you look into Biden's history, you'll see that he deserves prison as well. But that's not something that this guy's going to see. You know, he's an old man. He'll be dead soon probably. And then that son will probably overdose at some point. But if you're black and you voted for this Biden person, or if you vote democratically, for Democrats majorly, ask yourself, what chance or what opportunity did anyone in your family have to get a Biden type pardon as his son did? His son's a druggie. He's an addict. He had 2 gun felonies and multiple drug felonies and a $1.4 million tax evasion felony, all of which was just dismissed. So let me ask you a question. If you're black folks specifically, since the Democratic Party always leans towards your feelings when they're trying to get votes, has anybody in your family been shown such mercy as this criminal, as this animal? Anybody in your family? What I like about Trump, even though people call him a racist, a narcissist, and all these other things, look at the cabinet he's building. More minorities are represented in that cabinet than at any point in history. He's got a woman as the chief of staff, which is the first time that's ever happened in U.S. history. People need to wake up and see the truth for what it is, right? You reap what you sow. So I know these Biden boys are in for some tough luck. I'm sure that it's going to go real bad for them over the next 3 years. But you look biblically to say this. It angers me because this joke of a person, this Biden, is a mockery of a president. He's a mockery of an elected official. He's a mockery of anything of class. He's definitely not good versus evil. When you think about what he is, he represents evil. So did Kamala, and people still voted for her. But she didn't have all the power of the white on her side, meaning she didn't get the 20 million fictitious votes that Biden got in 2020. So there's something to think about. This kind of stuff enrages me. I think our government should be a guiding light for the rest of the world, and instead it's one of the most disgusting freaking displays of the misuse of power and the absolute evil that a group of people can be if they're allowed to stay in place and fester over time. So I have to go back to the Bible to try to get some calm over this. And Galatians 6:7 is one of the best verses to go to. This is the SV version. It says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap." So we'll probably see Biden reap his in the very next few years because he's an older cat. He's not going to be around that much longer. You've already seen how they've abandoned him and booted him to the side and treat him like nothing. He's a lame duck president. We haven't heard from him since October. This is the only thing he's done since October. I guess he got his meds and got up and got out to go pardon his son. Then his son, of course, he looks like many of other drug addict to me. He most likely will meet a violent end at some point. Because when people think they walk on water and think the law does not cover their wrongs, and it's interesting because typically you hear that thrown towards Republican candidates and Republican people. You'll say these people are not within the rule of law. They don't have the law as a guiding light. They're more powerful than the law of this country. Well, if you want to see that example, look right now at your President Biden's kid and look at what that piece of trash has done in the last decade, and look how he got pardoned for it. And would anybody in your family get that pardon? I just always want to ask those questions because nobody in my family would get that pardon or any kind of pardon like that. 2 Corinthians 9:6 says, "The point is this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully." Galatians 6:7-8, and I read 7 earlier, but let's go ahead to the 8th verse. Says, "Do not be deceived, God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For one who sows his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but one who sows from the Spirit will reap eternal life." So the corruption is what I'm talking about here for these cats that they've got to look forward to. And I'm looking at a picture of him here on this other screen, and the boy looks just like his dad, right? I mean, the face of evil in that picture looks exactly the same, right? "Whosoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of his fury will fail." So that's Proverbs 22:8. "Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of his fury will fail." Job 4:8 says, "As I have seen, those who plow inequity will sow trouble reap the same. So it looks like he's going to basically receive a lot of trouble. He's going to reap trouble and inequity. Luke 6:38 says, "Give, and it will be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, and it will be put into your lap. For the measure you use, it will be measured back to you." So basically saying, if you do good, you'll get good. If you do evil, you'll get evil. That's what he's got to look forward to. And we'll read Galatians. Well, we've already read 6 and 7. It's repetitive around 6, 7, and 8. Proverbs 11:18 is a good one. "The wicked earns deceptive wages, but one who sows righteousness gets a sure reward." We'll read a few more from the Old Testament. Here's Hosea 8:7. "For they sow the wind, they shall reap the whirlwind. The standing grain has no heads, it shall yield no flour. If it were to yield, strangers would devour it." Psalms 126:5 says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy." So it means whoever's a victim should get joy in the end. Galatians 6:9 says, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." So 6 through 9 together is pretty solid in Galatians. It says, "Do not be deceived, God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For the one who sows in his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows in the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." So that goes back to the old quote, if you're in hell, keep going. In the end, things will work out for good. It will work out within God's plan. And I think if you feel like I do about the federal government in this country right now, you're not very positive about it. This last election was a huge turnaround because I do think the people are fed up with a lot of the nonsense that's covering the airwaves. In the meantime, our country is not taking the power that we have and the technology and education we have and wielding it to do more good. So that's the biggest issue with the last 8 years of what we've done in this country. So hopefully this will be a turnaround. I just want to say something about this today because this is absolute evil. This is absolute garbage. For those of you that were deceived by this person and the people he represents, just know that you've been played like a clown. So maybe next time do a little bit better, because this guy's an animal that just got pardoned for all the garbage that he is guilty of, and he's walking away a free man because his daddy is the president. So if that doesn't make you sick, I don't know what will. If you like subject matter such as this, if you like things of the world with a little bit about biblical input, this is the type of videos we do very often, and we try to share what our wisdom we have too on top of these things. Please like, please subscribe. I'm Ben. Be good.